Have you ever met someone, talked to them for 10 minutes, shook their hand, smiled at them, and then 1 minute later, you completely forgot their name? It feels embarrassing, sometimes even disrespectful. But what if I told you, forgetting names is not always about bad memory. Sometimes it reveals hidden psychology. It can expose emotional detachment, silent stress, social anxiety, mental overload, and in some cases, a person's secret way of protecting themselves from emotional connection. Because the human brain does not remember everything equally. It remembers what feels important. And when someone keeps forgetting names over and over again, psychology says something deeper may be happening inside them. Tonight, we're going deep into the dark psychology of people who forget names easily and what it secretly says about their mind. Here's the brutal truth. Your brain is selfish. It constantly decides what deserves attention and what deserves deletion. Every day, your brain receives thousands of faces, words, sounds, notifications, and conversations. So the brain creates a filter, and names are often the first thing it throws away. Why? Because names have no emotional meaning at first. Think about it. If someone says, "Hi, my name is Michael," your brain hears it, but emotionally, that word means nothing yet. But if 5 minutes later, Michael insults you, helps you, scares you, or impresses you, suddenly you never forget him again. Psychologists call this emotional tagging. The brain remembers things connected to emotion, not neutral information. That's why people can remember insults from 10 years ago, but forget a person's name after 10 seconds. Now here's where it gets darker. Some people forget names because deep down, they avoid emotional attachment. This happens a lot in people who have been betrayed, hurt, manipulated, or emotionally exhausted. Their brain starts treating new people like temporary visitors. No deep attachment, no emotional investment. So names never fully enter long-term memory. It's almost like the mind says, don't get attached. They probably won't stay anyway. This is extremely common in people who experience toxic relationships, abandonment, or fake friendships. Without realizing it, they stop emotionally registering people. And over time, forgetting names becomes a psychological defense mechanism. Cold, silent, automatic. Another hidden reason is stress. When someone is mentally overwhelmed, the brain focuses only on survival-level information. Bills, problems, anxiety, deadlines, fear, overthinking. In that state, names become low priority. This is why highly stressed people often say, "Sorry, I'm terrible with names." But the real issue is not intelligence, it's cognitive overload. The brain is already carrying too much weight, so it stops storing unnecessary details. Imagine your brain like a phone with 1% battery left. At that point, it only keeps essential apps running. Everything else shuts down. That's exactly what stress does to memory. Here's something most people don't realize. Socially anxious people often forget names almost instantly. Why? Because when someone introduces themselves, anxious people are not focused on the name. They're focused on themselves. Questions like, do I sound awkward? Am I talking too much? Do they like me? What should I say next? Their brain becomes trapped in self-monitoring mode, so the name never gets properly stored. The ears hear it, but the mind is distracted. That's why socially anxious people sometimes forget names literally seconds later. Not because they don't care, but because anxiety hijacks attention. Now let's enter the darker side of psychology. Some narcissistic people forget names for a completely different reason. They see people as tools, not individuals. To them, others exist only for usefulness, attention, status, or benefit. And if someone feels unimportant to their ego, their brain never bothers remembering them. This is why some powerful, arrogant, or highly self-centered people repeatedly forget names while expecting everyone to remember theirs. It creates an invisible power imbalance, almost like saying, "You are not important enough for me to remember." Sometimes this behavior is accidental, but sometimes it's intentional dominance psychology, a subtle way to reduce someone's value socially. And yes, some manipulators do this on purpose. Let me give you a powerful, real lifestyle example. Imagine a man named Daniel. Daniel works in a large office. Every week he meets new employees, but no matter how many times people introduce themselves, he forgets their names almost immediately. At first, co-workers think Daniel is rude, arrogant maybe, but the truth is darker. A few years earlier, Daniel went through a painful divorce and betrayal from close friends. After that, he stopped emotionally connecting with people. Without realizing it, his brain started treating relationships like temporary transactions. He still smiled, still talked politely, but emotionally, he stayed distant. And because of that emotional detachment, names never stuck in his memory. Then one day, a new employee named Sarah helped him during a stressful project. They worked together for weeks. She supported him during difficult moments. And suddenly, Daniel remembered every detail about her. Not just her name, her birthday, her favorite coffee, her stories. Why? Because emotion finally activated memory again. That's the hidden truth. People rarely remember names through repetition alone. They remember through emotional connection. Psychology teaches something fascinating. Attention creates memory. Emotion strengthens memory. Repetition protects memory. Without those three things, names disappear quickly. So if someone forgets names easily, it does not automatically mean they are stupid, fake, or careless. Sometimes they are emotionally guarded, mentally exhausted, socially anxious, or psychologically disconnected from the people around them. And sometimes, they're simply surviving internal battles nobody can see. So next time someone forgets your name, don't judge too quickly, because memory is not controlled only by intelligence. It is controlled by emotion, trauma, stress, ego, fear, and attention. The brain remembers what the heart reacts to, and sometimes people who forget names the most are the same people silently struggling to connect with the world itself. Because in dark psychology, forgetting a name is rarely just forgetting a name. Sometimes, it's a window into the hidden chaos inside the human mind.